Move over Lumberjacks, the Lumberjills are in town. And when we mean town, we mean Auckland. Next weekend for the 175th Auckland A&P show at the ASB Showgrounds. One of the highlights of the entertainment is Tina and her Lumberjills, Tina's been involved in logging sports her whole life. Wonder if from nappies. She's the only logging sports athlete to be selected to appear on the hit TV show Survivor, Panama Exile Island. In 2014, Tina also starred in National Geographic's channel Ultimate Survival Alaska Season 2. And Tina's on the phone from very cold Chile, I would imagine, Minnesota in the United States. What's it like there at the moment, Tina?
Well, so thank you for having me on the show. It's cold, it's winter, but it's not as bad as it would be in December and January. But I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, and I just visited the curling club and held the gold medal from the Olympics in my hand.
Really? My father,
Yes,
we have a long family history with curling, so that's fantastic. It's a great sport.
Yes, I actually just stopped to buy a pin, but all the guys were in there. I couldn't even believe it myself. But anyway, it's a beautiful place to be, but I'm looking forward to coming to New Zealand.
It will be a lot warmer, I imagine, here at the moment in Auckland than where you are. Now, Tina, tell us about how long the Lumberjills have been around.
Well, I grew up in Hayward, Wisconsin, which is the home of the Lumberjack World Championships. And I started log rolling when I was 7 years old. And then we started chopping and sawing. And at that time in my life, that was the only event that was available to women until we started promoting the sport for women, which I've been doing my entire life. And, you know, I went to the Royal Sydney show years ago to chop, and I had to chop in the men's division. And I was told to get back in the kitchen.
And that was only a few years ago. I hope with the arms that you've got on you, you showed them the door, so to speak, in the nicest PC sort of way.
I know. I was like, what am I going to do in there? But I said, I don't want to chop against you. I want to chop against your sister and your mother and your wife, because they didn't have women's chopping at that time. But it's been a labor of love to promote women in the sport. And it's been very rewarding and a lot of fun.
And you've seen a rise around the world in female logging sports?
Oh, yes. We have underhand chopping, crosscut sawing, axe throwing, standing, almost all the events that they have for men, they have for women now, which is really fantastic. I mean, when we have the competition in my hometown now, a lot of Kiwi women come over and Aussies.
Wow. I'd like to think there would be all right at the kindling chopping competition. I had to light 3 fires a day at a hotel I used to look after. Is that a sport?
No, but I think we should go. think we should look into that.
Can you tell our listeners what they can expect from the spectacular of the show that will be on next weekend at the Auckland A&P show?
We're going to do 3 30-minute shows a day, and I am bringing a couple of guys with me this year also. And we're going to I will be emceeing it. I'm going to host the show, and I'd like to give a little history of the sport and how it actually started. And then we split up our athletes into teams, and then we get the crowd cheering for the teams, which is always fun. And we're going to do underhand chopping, or is it called horizontal? And we're going to do axe throwing, which is at a target 20 feet away. The center is 5 foot off the ground. And we're going to do Jack and Jill cross-cut sawing. And then an event that's very popular in the U.S. is called obstacle pole relay, where we take several skills and put them back to back in a mini relay. And we also do a little chainsaw carving and log rolling in water, which is super crazy.
Wow. I might have to get along to that. That sounds amazing. One thing that is pretty amazing is reading the list of TV series you've been on. It looks like an actress in America's film role. There's been a fair swagger. Could you tell us through a lot of those and how you ended up on these TV series?
Oh, I don't know. I never know how I end up anywhere. But, I actually applied for Survivor, which is, a really big TV show over here. And I sent in a tape of me chopping and sawing. And it was kind of silly. I said, if I chainsawed, and I said, when you pick me for Survivor, I'm going to cut through the competition. And then I chopped, and I said, if I can't saw through them, I'm going to cut through them. And then I log rolled it. I said, if I can't saw through them or cut through them, I'm going to roll over them.
Wow.
And it was good enough for them to say, this girl's got something. So, I feel really lucky to have been involved in that series. And then I applied for another show for National Geographic in Alaska, which was incredible. It was a cast of 12 people, and I was the only woman they picked.
And
needless to say, it was the best summer of my life.
So I watched some of these Survivor programs, and you see the weight loss of the contestants when you're dealing with, surviving in Alaska. Do they look after you well?
Well, they do, but we get 2 pounds of beans and rice in the National Geographic show, which lasted 4 days. And honestly, that was plenty of food. It wasn't tasty. And it was, we walked a lot. We did a lot of trekking. So you were hungry, but you weren't going to die. And unlike Survivor, where they do not give you food unless you find it or earn it.
Wow, that's fascinating. And the timber sports, they're a big part on the television in the States as well, are they?
Yes, the Steel Timber Sports Series is it's the biggest competition in our sport. And actually, for years, it was won by a Kiwi, a couple of Kiwis, actually. David Bolstead, who unfortunately passed on several years ago. But now we have Jason Wynyard from Massey, Auckland, and he is the current Steel Timber Sports Series champion from the big event over in Europe now. And, it gives our athletes of the availability to bring the sport into your home by having it on TV. And, it's getting bigger and bigger every year. So we're pretty fortunate.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Timber Tina, as she's known. Timber Tina and her team of Lumberjills will be in town in Auckland at the ASB Showgrounds over Easter for what is now the 175th Auckland AMP show.
Radio Live Rural Exchange.